Tell me what you see. Tell me what you see. Now, tell me what you see.
My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh, big man.
What you see depends upon what you bring into the experience as the seer, because there's more than one variable. There's you, there's that which you bring into your experience, and then there's the thing you're seeing on top of that. And then there's a whole nother theater in which there are other forces and other variables and other factors, other people projecting narratives and framing things in such a way that seeks to influence what you see. So there's a lot of information actually that's going on in any particular occurrence of an unidentified anomalous phenomenon. At first, the data points were testimony, people telling their stories about their sightings, even about their abductions, about their encounters with things they were unable to explain. And of course, those experiences oftentimes were interpreted in particular ways. Of course, some people hearing those stories thought, oh, you know what, human error, human misperception, some natural phenomenon, or maybe just some human object that they misunderstood or mistook as something unidentified. But the data that keeps coming in keeps evolving. At first there was the testimony, then there was the photograph, then there was the occasional film, and now there's the occasional radar detector. There's the occasional collective that sees an unidentified anomalous phenomenon like a Navy ship, a Navy pilot, and radar and all their technologies picking up these particular incidents. So there are variables. There's the thing we're seeing, and there are the people seeing them. And then there are those factors that seek to influence our interpretations of what it is that we're seeing. One of the most notable factors in this whole UAP conversation is the fact that we're having this UAP conversation in such a public, in such a mainstream way. Earlier, decades ago, people who talked about UFOs were on the margins, on the fringes. They were things that happen out there where the crazy people are. And it was not necessarily within the frame of what you could talk about in public and still be taken seriously. This is something called the Overton window, that framework of items which are permissible to talk about in public. And now, the conversation about UFOs, now known as UAPs, has moved from the margins into the mainstream. They're having congressional hearings about the UAP phenomenon. And there are tons of interpretations of what these phenomena might be. Of course, extraterrestrial intelligence is the first thing people reach for instinctually. But sometimes our explanations outrun our experiences. We can know we're seeing something that's anomalous, meaning nameless, that we can't name it. We don't have a category for it. And sometimes we can even leap from that to explanations, to interpretations of what those anomalous things are. But at the very least, at very minimum, now they're not hiding the fact that there are unidentified anomalous phenomena flying in our airspace. And not only in our airspace, but these objects are transmedium. They can go from air into ocean, and that's opened up a whole new layer of conversation. One of the things that we want to do when we consider something we're not familiar with is to step back and say, well, first of all, it may be explainable within the frameworks we already own. It may be something like an unknown natural phenomenon, or it may be human technology that's being tested. It's technology that the public is not aware of or familiar with, and that's identified as something extraterrestrial. Or it could be something that our adversaries are experimenting with. Now, the development of that technology has multiple paths, at least two. Some say it could be human technology that's advancing secretly and rapidly. Others say that it's alien technology, extraterrestrial technology that is being reverse engineered and in secret, and that's what's happening. If that's true, then that means our universe is occupied, that intelligence is not an accidental occasion or happening here on Earth. It's not just local, but distributed throughout the universe. Whether it's rare out there or whether it's everywhere out there, we don't know. But at the very least, it would be a profound disruption of our understanding of reality. We could no longer say that we are alone. So let's put this in two layers. Not only can we not say we're not alone in the universe, we also can't say we're alone here on Earth. Because if these objects are in fact extraterrestrial artifacts that governments have sequestered for study, then that means that that extraterrestrial intelligence may in fact be visiting here. And that's an interesting idea. The idea that on this planet there are craft and maybe biologics, by which they mean creatures that either inhabited those craft and were found deceased at crash sites or otherwise. That it's an interesting idea that they're here among us. That means that there are some human beings, there's somebody out there somewhere that has been tasked with guarding wherever it is that extraterrestrial material is, and that there are human beings working, reverse engineering that technology, which that means that there are human beings that go home at night and have dinner with their families that know that they're working on something so secret, so revolutionary, that it could set the earth on fire, as said Congressman Tim Burchett. Or maybe they can't even go home. Maybe their lives have been taken away, because now once they've been dedicated to that particular project, that's the whole of their life, and they can have no outside contact. So if it's extraterrestrial, then that means that reality is occupied. But what if it's not just extraterrestrial, but it's interdimensional? Now, the reason that that idea is put out there is because of the way these objects behave. Extreme acceleration, abrupt starts and stops, transmedium movement from air into ocean without seemingly any deceleration at all. So that has led some to posit that they don't behave like objects in our four-dimensional understanding of reality. Things just don't work that way in our understanding of physics. They defy that. And so the idea is that they may be interdimensional objects. So if they're extraterrestrial, that means reality or the universe is occupied. If they're interdimensional, that means reality is layered. That there is more to reality than what meets the eye. That there are veils, sometimes thin and permeable, and sometimes things from other dimensions pass through our experience, our existence, and occasionally we have moments to encounter them. So the question that I started with, what do you see? Even if a small percentage of these disclosures are true, then we may be sitting upon the largest ontological disruption of our time. How might what we're seeing affect your worldview, your way of understanding reality? Now, the faith traditions have for a long time posited interdimensional creatures such as angels and demons, disembodied voices, visions, phenomena that are paranormal. Is that what reality is truly like? Could these UAPs suggest an interdimensional reality, a reality that's occupied by other intelligences? Might this UAP phenomenon suggest that human beings are not the top of the hierarchy in the cosmos as we are here on Earth? So what does the UAP phenomenon say about you and the way you see?